What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another Ag Crime and Mysteries episode. My name is Tess the Agriculturalist, and I hope you are ready for some weird stories about agricultural crime and mysteries. So I definitely have some weird agricultural crimes to talk about today, but I also have another haunting at a farmhouse to talk about. Thank God, right? That's why you clicked on this video, obviously, because you knew I'd be talking about a haunted farmhouse. Little spookies. Anyway, without further ado, let's dive into these crazy stories I have for you guys.
Tess.
What? My Siri just went off. Without further ado, let's get into it. So our first story today is set at the old Arnold Estate in Harrisville, Rhode Island. So for those of you who keep up with thrillers and scary movies, yes, this is the actual location of the story The Conjuring and where the movie was basically filmed at. So the farmhouse was built in
1736.
So it is very old and holds lots of stories. 1736 is even before 1776 when the great old USA was founded. Founded? Our founding fathers. I was gonna say founding farmers. Founding Farmers is a restaurant. But when I first searched this story, the opening line in the Modern Farmer article for this story was, "Leave the lights on at night." Spooks. So leave the lights on at night was the advice that the Perron family received when they moved into their old farmhouse in the winter of 1970. Side note. According to the USDA, in the 1970s, there was a rapid increase in demand for grains, oilseeds, and it boosted the 1970 crop prices. So this rapid increase in global demand for grains and oilseeds triggered the 1970 to 1974 run-up in prices. A series of events, including the Soviet Union's unexpected purchase of a large amount of grain in the global markets in the early 1970s, basically stimulated the world demand. So many other centrally planned countries also decided to increase grain imports, causing world's agricultural trade to then just rise dramatically. So world exports of wheat increased nearly 29% between 1971 and 1972. So all this is going on when the Perron family is moving into their farmhouse. Except this farmhouse was surrounded by 8 acres of luscious wooded landscapes and beautiful rivers, so not your typical kind of farmhouse we think of with fields of corn and wheat and soybeans surrounding it. So it was a landscape that was a bit more secluded, obviously, because why would we be haunting? Why would we be talking about it, you know, if it was not secluded and spooky and weird and creepy looking, you know? Oh, I just like gulped like right into this. Anyways, it didn't take the family that long to understand why they needed to leave the lights on at night. According to the Modern Farmer website, 8 generations of families have lived and died in that house, and few have seemed to move on, leaving the place packed with spirits. As recounted in the 2013 movie, The Conjuring, which is based on stories from the farm itself. So it was the Perron's family decade-long stay that launched the home into paranormal infamy and inspired the 2013 film, The Conjuring. You know, I remember that movie and I remember watching it, and there's that scene when I think it's like the couple, right? The couple that goes to the Perron family, and they're the ones that like know Annabelle. It's like all of those series are connected, right? And she's like doing laundry outside on the line, like she's hanging up her clothes on the line. Also, fun fact, that's a really cool way to do laundry sustainably. You just hang your thing outside and let it dry, and then it smells nice and fresh. Anyway, so she was like hanging the stuff on the line, and I remember like there was like a storm coming or whatever in the story. Maybe Isaac can cue the scene while I'm talking about it, and I can be the narrator. So there's like a storm coming, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta put my laundry away fast and get it down or whatever. And the sheet just flies in the wind, and then a body figure is like behind it, and it's like, whew, I'm getting tears in my eyes thinking about it. It's little spookies. Whew, okay. So the Perones were initially unbothered by a group of friendly spirits, but they became more intense and aggressive and took a particular interest in one of the family's five daughters. That's a lot of daughters. Okay, 5 daughters. Anyways, so the angriest of the spirits, of all the spirits, was the ghost of Bathsheba Sherman. So she was believed to be a satanist. Satanist? Not satanist. Satanist? Satanist? She was believed to be a satanist. Whoo! So she was believed to be a satanist. Satanist? Satanist? Satanist. Oh my god. So she was believed to be a I can't say that word. I need a sip of water because I can't say that word. What is it? Satanist? Satanist? I practiced this last night because I knew this was going to be an issue today. Okay, well, Isaac, you do what you want with that because I can't say that word. So Bathsheba Sherman, she was believed to be in direct contact with the devil, and Bathsheba died on the property. We're not going to talk about how, because it's a little too morbid for the channel. But it was her ghost that caused the physical injuries, including bloody puncture wounds, scratches, and attempts at possessing the girl. The family then, after that, obviously went as far as contacting a priest to, you know, perform an exorcism more than once, because at that point, it's true, like, what do? You just let this keep happening? Bathsheba's going crazy on poor Susie Q. JK, I actually think her name was Carolyn. Yeah, it was Carolyn. So, you know, I guess it makes sense, but yeah, you run out of options. So the family eventually moved out of the house in 1980 and never returned. So that means these were there for a full decade. It's always wild to me, like, how long these people stay at these houses when, like, starts to go down, you know, like they're like, well, you know, Carolyn's getting ghosty wounds, but, you know, when we go outside, we can drink our coffee and look at trees. So it's worth it, baby. Like, I don't, whatever. So according to the Visit Rhode Island website, you know how all the states have like Visit PA, Visit New York, do all these fun things, Lidl, and it's like these people hiking and having the grand time of their life. Yeah, so according to the Rhode Island website, the Arnold Estate is a historical treasure to this day, and yet it is so much more than just its beauty, and it provides those with who are curious with an experience that they'll never forget. There was this quote that I saw that it says in the Rhode Island website that it is, you know, a place that touches every soul. No way. That's such an ominous way of like wording, stop by this place, it's a sightseeing place. It touches every soul. No, thank you. I like to keep my soul untouched and intact within me. So anyways, next story. Okay, so this next story is, I titled it Lots of Spilled Milk. So it may be triggering for anybody who's a dairy farmer out there. Isaac, sorry, you're literally editing this, but whoops. This story is set at Weigel Farm in 2015 in Torrington, Connecticut. One of the farmers at the dairy farm there took to Facebook on Christmas Eve, hoping to catch the person or persons who drained milk from their farm. God, so Christmas Eve, Santa will only have cookies, if you know what I'm saying. Is it hot in here? Anyways, the vandals emptied roughly 300 gallons of milk from the farm storage tank early in the morning on Christmas Eve in 2015. Side note, according to the USDA, a gallon of conventional whole milk at a retail pricing today, while I'm recording this, is worth $4.46. So theoretically, that means, as I'm recording this, that the farm lost a little over $1,300 worth of milk. So that's a pretty big hit to a dairy farm. You know, $1,300 worth of milk is a lot of resources that went into that. So I don't know what kind of prank this is or who thought of this, but maybe just try to pull a Carrie Underwood first and just slash a tire or something, you know, like, geez. But the Weigold farm received an outpouring of support from their community, and they raised a couple thousands of dollars for the dairy farmers in just a few days. So, you know, people really came together when this incident happened. So while no one has been reported arrested in connection to the incident yet, Tom Flynn, who identifies himself as a friend of the Weigold family, so he took to GoFundMe to basically ask the community to help them out. And they raised about $2,900 for the farm in just 2 days. I was still unable to find any additional information about this case and if it was ever solved, about, you know, the person or the people and if they were ever identified, but I couldn't find anything, so it's kind of sad. So according to Flynn, the friend of the farmers, sometime late in the night, a person broke into the farm and drained the raw milk out of the holding tank and then down the drain completely. So he basically said, you know, Carl, I guess the owner of the farm, the dairy farm, he said he works his butt off with his family and is a kind and humble person who would do anything for everyone. And it was such a devastating loss to the family, even around, you know, Christmas time. Like, who would, you know, do that? The dairy business is definitely a hard job, without question. That's basically what Flynn was trying to say, and they shouldn't have to deal with this setback. So he said, you know, if anyone can help, it would mean a lot to them. And Merry Christmas and God bless. So this is, you know, Flynn's literally Tiny Tim right now saying, God bless us, everyone. And, you know, just trying to help out with them and the loss that they had to take. Honestly, though, cue Damon Farms, the ag venture. Because, you know, that just goes to showcase you right there. It's an extremely challenging business, and dairy farming is so time consuming, and a loss like this one is huge. So Amy Weigold posted on her Facebook page that someone came onto the property and opened the drain of milk, or opened the drain on the milk tank and just let it all out without anyone knowing. She wrote on Facebook that her father discovered the milk was missing when he went to milk the cows around 4:30 a.m. 4:30 a.m. Like, I complained getting up at 4:30 to go to cultivate for one day, and farmers are like Isaac are literally getting up every day at like 4:30. Like, let me just check myself. She also stated that it was milk from 71 cows down the drain. So she wrote on Facebook asking people to just share her post and contact them or the police if they had a tip about the milk draining incident. That money goes towards feeding their animals and providing for their families. And I do think more people need to be aware of that, you know, like, these cows hold these dairy farmers' livelihoods, and it's so important that they have the resources they need and produce the numbers they need to keep their business moving. Geez, that one was really sad. I feel bad because they still haven't been able to identify anyone, but I do think it's kind of cool to see how that community, even though it is relatively smaller, you know, they still came together to support these dairy farmers. So that one had kind of a happy ending, I guess. Next story. So I'm really excited about our last story. Our last story is about, you know, good old Grandma Jenkins. I mean, actually, her name is, it's French, it's Canadian. Angèle Grenner is my best guess. Angèle Grenner. So she is known for being Canada's most wanted woman. Ooh, spicy. So according to an article written by BBC News, Grenner and her husband have been producing maple syrup at their farm in their village that is 60 miles south of Quebec City for decades. So, you know, every spring they pretty much do their thing. They bore holes into their maple trees and drain off the sweet sap. And then the sap is then boiled down to make the syrup. So, you know, nothing is added. Everything is completely natural that they make there at their farm. Also, a fun fact about Tess the agriculturalist. I freaking love maple syrup. I've always loved maple syrup. Literally, as a little girl, for Christmas, Santa would get me real maple syrup, like, you know, the ones in like the cute bear jars, like with little hats. I don't know if you ever heard about those, or saw those before, but I literally used to get maple syrup as a Christmas present because I loved maple syrup so much. Like, huge connoisseur of maple syrup right here. I didn't like Log Cabin or Miss Butterworth's, Butterwatch. I don't know what her name is, but you know what I'm talking about. So moral of the story is, I remember when I went on a road trip with my family last year to New England, we were in Vermont. We're driving down like a major highway in Vermont, and we see like a roadside stand on the side of the road. I guess that's what a roadside stand is. It's on the side of a road. Anyway, we see the stand, and I'm like, Mom, literally pull over us. So she literally went off at the highway, like we went flying, just so I could get my maple syrup from Vermont. That's how much I freaking love maple syrup. So this story hits home. So the issue here, and why we're talking about, you know, Mrs. Grenner and the other Quebec maple syrup rebels is what they're called, is that they cannot freely sell their syrup. That's right, you heard it here first, folks. Actually, you might have not have heard it here first, but yes. So since 1990, they have been legally required to hand over the bulk of what they produce to the Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers. So in French-speaking Quebec, you know, it's abbreviated for FPAQ is what this Federation of Quebec Maple Syrup Producers is called. So backed by the Canadian civil courts, you know, the Federation has the monopoly of selling maple syrup on the wholesale market and for exporting it itself. Literally, I had no idea about this, and I just told you my sob story about how much I love maple syrup, and it's insane to me how this is in place. Oh my goodness, I'm getting so worked up over here. I'm like banging into things. So producers are only allowed to sell independent cans of less than 5 liters to visitors to their farm. So they can only give that small amount to people who will literally come onto the farm itself. So according to the FPAQ, those sales only represent 10% of the total sale of maple syrup in Quebec. Producers can sell to their local supermarkets, but then they have to pay 12 cents per pound commission to the FPAQ. So back to Grandma G. She goes, you know, we don't own our syrup anymore. Mrs. Grenner then goes and proceeds to call the Federation the Mafia, which is a little intense, but she's not wrong, you know, like, she's not wrong. So Mrs. G Money and her husband have been selling their maple syrup across the border to New Brunswick. So they literally go across the border. So Grandma G and these rebels will literally load barrels of syrup into the trucks as quickly as possible and then race it over the border under the cover of darkness. She's telling them this, like, she's like, this is how we do it, you know, like, cue Mission Impossible. Honestly, she's a riot. Like, she said, these people got to get their maple syrup. So they're breaking the law, but they're saying that they're fighting for their right to sell the syrup for a price and to customers of their own choosing. You know, I keep going back and forth with this one. You know, it's not good, but it's not bad, you know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like I can understand where Grandma G's coming from, you know? Like, she works hard for the product to not even be in her hands at the end of the day, you know? Like, that's not a way to feel like what you're doing is fully, you know, what am I looking for here? She doesn't have ownership of the product. That's what it was. That's what she's looking for. Grandma G is upset because she doesn't have ownership of her product and she doesn't have her rights to do what she wants. You can cut this tangent out because I'm going off now about Grandma G. Anyways, the FPAQ security staff and police officers have paid Grenner a number of visits, and Mrs. Grenner is facing prison if she continues to refuse to turn over her syrup. Like, she's so passionate about her syrup that she's like, fine, if you're gonna hit me with that, hit me with that. So the Federation has also hit her with a $500,000 Canadian fine, which she is now contesting as she says she won't back down. She keeps saying, we want our freedom back. Like, literally cue up, we won't back down. Like, she's like, here I go. My hair is literally falling out as I'm speaking. I'm getting so worked up, my hair is literally falling. Grandma G, she's really getting to me. Literally, like, my hair's falling out. I'm hot and sweaty. It's about this maple syrup talk. You know, I told you guys how passionate I am about my syrup. I should really go grab my syrup. Oh God, this guy's next name, I can't even. Well, it's spelled like even, but I feel like it's Evan Bernard Gerard. I took Spanish. I didn't take French. But for some reason, when I see this name, I want to say Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't know why, because it's literally not even close, but sure. Anyway, this guy is the president of Quebec's farming union. So he's basically saying that this guy, he's good. Benedict Cumberbatch, he's pretty good. He's saying that the FPAQ needs to loosen its rules and methods. He wants Grandma G and the rebels to have full control over their own product in the marketplace. He says, and I quote, "The Federation doesn't have to be coercive as it is now. Its system is totalitarian and communist. Producers don't have the space to work, which is why most of them cheat." So this story is extremely chaotic, but to me, it makes a lot of sense. And I feel bad for Grandma G and the rebels because they're just trying to get paid for the work that they're doing, you know? And in the end, it really should be in their hands. So big yikes, man. I hope Grandma G ends up okay and everything works out for her because she's really cute. She's just trying to have her maple syrup. I hope you guys enjoyed my stories today. I know I enjoyed sitting down, dishing the tea with y'all, so thank you so much for stopping by. If you have any suggestions on what you want me to talk about in my next Ag Crime and Mysteries episode, please comment the stories below. I would love to talk about what you guys are interested in. And if you enjoy this type of content, please feel free to like this video, subscribe to Agaholics, and ring the bell for notifications on when new videos are posted to the channel. As always, thanks again for watching, and don't forget to go outside today. I'm gonna go get maple syrup. I wanna show you guys my maple syrups. Okay, so this is the outtakes. So thank you for, or the after credit scene, whatever you wanna call this, Isaac. The after credit scene. So I have my maple syrups. I took them out of my fridge and my cabinet so I can just show you guys literally how obsessed I am with maple syrup. So I have this first one, this Pennsylvania maple syrup, aged in straight whiskey barrels. This one is from Barrel 21 in State College. So this is my first collection. I literally feel like I'm showing skincare products. Oh, I should have done my nails. So this is the first one. Grandma G would be proud. Ooh, blurry McGurry. And then this is the syrup from the story I told you guys about in Vermont, where I needed this. I had to pull over, and look, it's almost gone. But I could put a straw in this. Literally, do you see look how freaking cute that is. Look how cute. That girl there buying her syrup, that's me buying the syrup right there. But like, look at that. Beautiful. And then this one, well, this one I think I just got at the grocery store. But this one looks good too because it's another one that's kind of like, I like the color, the amber tones. Okay, well that's not focusing, but this is the other one that I like. So I thought I would just share and let you guys know that I actually am, committed to my maple syrup. So thank you for watching.